Joining us from the convention in Tampa is Steve Chaggaris, Executive Washington Editor for CBSNews.com. Steve, good morning to you.
Good morning, Terrell.
It was a big night for Paul Ryan, a very big speech on a national stage and a lot riding on this speech. How did he do?
Well, if you ask the audience, I think they'd say he did very well. There were a lot of lengthy ovations. It was pretty clear he was talking directly to the audience here, but also talking to a national audience, and touched on a lot of different things, attacking Obama profusely, and I think that's going to be his role moving forward.
You know, we were wondering what kind of speech this would be. Would this be a speech with a series of platitudes and one-liners and sharp zingers? Or would this be a speech that presented problems and solutions? Obviously, we know which kind of speech we got. Was it the right kind of speech?
Well, it was most of the above, as you mentioned there. I don't think you heard a lot of details about what the Romney-Ryan team would do in office, but you did hear a lot of criticism of Obama. You heard a lot of Paul Ryan's biography, introducing himself to the nation. But really what you heard a lot about is him sort of setting the contrast between what Romney and Ryan would be generally in the Obama administration, and really taking a lot of opportunities to hit President Obama.
And when Romney started out, you remember that the big message here was jobs and the economy. When Ryan came on board, it switched to entitlement programs and Medicare reform. Is this the kind of debate that this campaign wants to have into November?
Well, there's a lot of people think that touching that third rail of entitlements, Medicare, Social Security is a tough slog down the road. But if you actually look at the polling, it's pretty split between what folks think whether Obama or Romney would do better on the Medicare issue. So I think the Romney folks are looking at this issue as one that they could potentially win over the next 8 weeks of the general election.
Take a look at any poll here recently. Many voters really didn't know who Paul Ryan was in the lead up to this night. Tonight was last night, really a big chance for him to introduce himself. Did he succeed?
Well, he did talk a lot about his faith, his background in Wisconsin, and talked a lot about, frankly, what he has in common with Mitt Romney. I think this is an opportunity in front of a large audience when people are really starting to pay attention to the general election to tell people who he is. I think he laid it out pretty specifically in terms of what he thinks and basically how he's going to work with Mitt Romney moving forward. So did he succeed? Sure.
Then we look ahead, Steve. Later on tonight, Mitt Romney set to formally take his party's nomination to accept that. What do we expect to hear? What is he going to say?
Well, the Romney campaign has told us that last night's speech by Paul Ryan really sort of set up what Romney's going to talk about tonight, sort of laid out generally, and Romney's going to pick up where he left off, talking really specifically, or a little more specifically, about what he's going to do as president. I don't think you're going to hear a lot from Mitt Romney about his personality. I don't think you're going to see him trying to be a really likable candidate. That's not really what he does. He's just going to go out there and sort of lay out his vision for what a Romney presidency would be. He's going to lay out the contrast between him and Barack Obama. And I think anything you're looking for in terms of the personal side of Romney, he probably will touch on his faith, not specifically about his Mormonism, but just generally his faith, and you'll hear a little bit about that. But really, you're not going to get a really deep look into Mitt Romney personally tonight.
Is that something that is necessary at this point now, Steve? You know, Romney really didn't talk about his faith. He started to quite a bit at the beginning of the campaign. Now it's something that he's actually doing a bit more, and that's by design and strategy. Is this the moment where he really needs to lay out and actually talk about Mormonism?
I don't think you're going to hear that. I don't think you're going to hear it between now and the general election. But I do think that he will talk about his faith in general terms. Mitt Romney, has been running for president for a while now, and if you look at the polls, he's not really the most likable candidate in the world. I think his handlers and Romney are uncomfortable sort of putting him in a situation where he can sort of be really personable on the stump. So you're going to see him, that's the one thing he's really comfortable talking about, is his faith generally, not specifically about Mormonism. So I think you'll hear more of that from him tonight and moving forward.
Then in the last 20 seconds that we have here, Steve, if there's something that makes a Romney speech successful, what is it? What does he have to do?
Well, he has to really tell the general public, as he's going into this general election, what the contrasts are with a potential Romney administration and the Obama administration. And I think he has to convince voters that people should change course between in November. And really, for him to be successful, he has to really do a good job selling himself and convincing voters that it's time to make a change.
Steve Chaggaris, Executive Washington Editor for CBSNews.com. Steve, thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.